I'm sure there are a lot of people who want to manifest their life partner and the love of their life, men or women, doesn't matter. I want to talk about that.
You do not want to miss this video. With my guest, we discuss everything about manifestation, manifesting love, your amazing partner, money, finances, fulfillment in your job, in your business. And if you want to know about her, she's actually a psychotherapist. She's a powerful manifester. She's a friend of mine. She was a client of mine. If you want to work with her and know more about her, I put her website in the description below. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. You too can manifest your dream life. This is Helia, and I have an amazing guest for you today. It is not going to be just me solo, which is always the case. I'm very excited for this guest today. She is an amazing friend of mine, and she's a very powerful manifester. We're going to talk all about manifestation and different areas of life. If someone has never heard about manifestation and they ask you, what does it mean? What would you say?
I would say, especially coming, from a background in psychology, that we have so much more power over our lives and our thoughts and our actions than we think, because we're born with so much programming that we don't realize it. And when we actually take a look at these things that we've been programmed to believe, we realize that there's so many blocking beliefs, and manifesting is about changing these beliefs and finding power within ourselves to create the life and the dream that we really want.
Absolutely. Yes. I love that. I always love to start with, like, what do you think manifestation is? Because people have different definition of how it means. And then I want to go more about understanding, just explaining who you are, what you do, and yeah, just tell us a little bit more about yourself. Obviously, I know you. People don't.
Yeah. So I have my own private practice. I'm an EMDR therapist. I primarily work with PTSD and also work with empowering women, helping them change their lives and just creating the life they want. I've been in practice about 6 years, and I just moved back to Austin, I guess like 8 months ago now. So I'm in person again, which I love so much more. And I specifically also have created what is called like EMDR intensives. And that's where you can work on a lot of stuff at once. It's like getting like 6 months of therapy in like a few days. So this has been a new venture for me. I've been doing it for about a year and a half now, but now that I'm in town, I'm actually able to put together these retreats and include sound healing and energy work and just like bring a mix of some of the healing modalities that I also learned living in Costa Rica. So it's been an exciting new venture.
I love that. And it's such a win-win, the extensives that you do for everyone, for you, for your clients. You don't need to go to therapy for years. They can get a result in a short period of time. Makes you satisfied, help the client as well. And it's just win-win for everyone. Speaking of Costa Rica, should we tell them how we met?
I think so.
That was my one of, or maybe the most amazing manifestations of my life. So I went on a trip to Costa Rica. It was 3 years ago, I guess. Was it?
I think so. I'm so bad with timelines.
Yeah, probably 3 years ago. And I was traveling solo for about 3 weeks. And one weekend I was just, I'm bored. I want to meet people. I want to go somewhere. And I find these expats in Costa Rica on Facebook group. And I post there that I want to go somewhere tonight. It was a Friday night or Saturday night. And it was a weekend. Who knows, like, what is here? What club, nice club, safe, somewhere safe. And so many different people messaged. So many men, obviously, I didn't reply back. And you messaged and you said, well, me and my friends are going to this club. You're more than welcome to join us. And I checked your profile and it's okay. It looks legit. It doesn't look like a profile that was created 2 days ago. I go down your pictures. I see you're with your husband. He was not your husband by the time, your boyfriend at the time. And yeah, my intuition told me, it was my body. I felt very relaxed in my body when you message me. And long story short, I go there and it's Taralynn with all bunch of friends. It turns out that we all have the same astrology sign. Me, you, Rebecca, and another girl, Laura.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was so crazy. Same astrology sign. And we are into same things. We love pole dancing. We love cats.
Yeah.
We're all
yeah.
cat people, not dog. And it was just such a synchronicity after synchronicity, and the whole energy was so. It was as if it was meant to be. And then we went to the night after, or a few nights after, we went to this jungle party, which was so cool. And I remember one other day we were going to somewhere else and I couldn't find you, and I was in an Uber and you were in another car. I didn't know when you will get there. And I saw that you were literally in the car right in front of me. You remember that?
Oh my gosh, when we were going to
Where were we
Arnold,
going to a
yeah.
volcano, yes.
Yeah, you were supposed to meet me. I remember. Oh my gosh, I forgot all about that.
Because what happened is that at the entrance, I didn't have cash. I had my card, but my card wasn't working somehow because I'm from Canada, probably. I don't know. And then I was waiting for you and I thought, damn. Oh, and the Uber driver said, we just have to wait here. And I thought, for how long?
Oh, yeah, you never know how long in Costa Rica.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And then I literally, because your hair color is so unique, I saw a head, a blonde head right in front of me. And I'm like, oh my God, is that her? So, yeah, and we've been like best friends since then. You moved, and I came visit you again in Costa Rica.
Oh, yeah, this lovely best friend of mine took care of our cats. We went on our honeymoon to Japan for 3 weeks.
Yeah. So you went to your honeymoon from Costa Rica to Japan, which is so cool. And then I was cat sitting your 2 cats in your beautiful house with that amazing view and that huge balcony, and it was just so magical. And now she moved to Austin and I'm here visiting her again. And God knows where we're going to end up, but so let's talk about friendships, actually, because this is a topic that I think for a while it wasn't my priority. And I've been someone more like A-type personality, go, 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 success, achievement. And I didn't think about developing friendships, but now it has become really important to me in the last few years. I would say in the last couple of years more than ever before. What is your view about friendships, and what is a good friend to you?
To me, a good friend is someone that knows all of your parts. Like, it's pretty similar to a partner, to finding your partner, right? It's someone that knows your good parts, your bad parts, your cray-cray parts, and they love and accept all of them. And when stuff comes up, you're able to talk about it and work through it, and it's not like, okay, I'm just done. But of course, in some situations, right, we find that friends no longer align with us anymore, and
Which is fine.
Which is fine. We have to let go of people. But I think in like my journey in the past few years with losing friends and finding new friends, it's just putting more intention into finding friends that have like the same values as me, as far as worldview and life and just how I live and how we connect, and that we show up for each other. And sometimes, we don't talk for a while, but we're always there. And and to share the good times and laugh a lot and make all kinds of memories.
And just respect each other's differences. You don't have to agree with everything. But yeah, one thing that you mentioned, communication, is so important. You can't just drop your friendship just because you didn't like something that they said. You have to have a conversation. And sometimes it's hard. It's not easy. I know we had something a few months ago. We were going through a blip, and it was hard for both of us.
Oh yeah, I remember. Because it sometimes it's more painful even than like when I think to like breakups I've had with partners. But a friendship can feel so much more heartbreaking
Mm-hmm.
because you don't just develop a connection to anybody, you know. So when you find that
Exactly.
connection, it's like I I'm going to do what I can to, to make that grow and connect and work out whatever differences,
Mm-hmm.
there are because you can't just, give up on people all
Mm-hmm.
the time.
Yeah,
As long as you're
especially
respecting each other's boundaries and things like that.
yeah, especially if you're in alignment, you don't want to let that go because that's rare, right?
Mhm.
How about what are your biggest manifestations? I know what it is, but I want you
Yeah.
to say.
I feel like there's so many and they've started, small. I remember my very first one was, I was in grad school, right? So I didn't have a lot of money. Obviously. Um I'm just trying to make it and still have fun because I'm a huge believer in always being able to have fun, like
I love
no
that about
matter.
you. I love that about you, and I need to learn that. Yes, it's
Um
important to have fun.
And yeah, and I mean, it was a crazy time, but my car had broke down and I had met a friend here that was, also like very much into manifesting and he's like, "Well, what car do you want?" And I was like, "Well, I've always wanted a red convertible." And 3 days later, I had a convertible.
Wow.
And that was the first like big one, the first like feeling of like, "Oh my gosh, like anything's possible." And I manifested all kinds of things and then but my number one would be my husband
Mhm.
because that was a journey and I don't think any of my friends or my family ever thought I would settle down. Like I was the wild child. I was nomadicing through life and, you know, just having fun and didn't really think that would
Yeah.
ever. I wasn't like I desired it, but it wasn't something I focused on. But then I did get to a point where I was like, I really do want this. And I wrote a letter to the universe.
Okay,
And
hold on. Before, because I know that's a beautiful manifestation, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who want to manifest their life partner and the love of their life, men or women, doesn't matter. I want to talk about that, but just something came to my mind is that your first manifestation, the car that you
yeah,
manifested in 3 days, were you doing any sort of manifestation practices, or was just your friend telling you just put it out there? How did you manifest it, or was it just happened?
yeah, I would say that was like, I first, started manifesting in my early 20s. But I was just starting to learn about it. And at that time, I don't think I even had any practices. Like I was reading all kinds of books and following people.
Okay.
Um,
Like what kind of books you remember?
I mean, I read like um, the law of attraction. That
And
was
this
like
is
the f-
before manifesting the red car.
yeah, that was before. So I had read that
Okay.
like years before, and
Okay. So
then
you already had
yeah,
an awareness about manifesting. Okay.
I know. I think I was following Sarah Prout,
I don't know
if I
who that
believe.
is.
There's so many teachers out there, right? So I'm
Mm-hmm.
following
Yeah.
Abraham Hicks,
Yeah.
Sarah Prout.
Okay. So you were in that
Yeah.
headspace.
So I was
Okay.
in the headspace, and I wrote out like affirmations, and I would say them, but a lot of it was like visualizing it. I was doing some visualization, but I didn't have a specific practice. It was just like he said it to me and I was just like, okay, you know?
That's the power of someone else believing in you. So that's what Bob said, Bob Proctor. He always said, if you don't believe in your dream or what you want, borrow my belief. So I think it's very powerful when two people decide to manifest something. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you're a little bit weak in your belief and the other person is strong, you kind of rely on their belief.
Mm-hmm.
So you borrowed his belief.
Oh,
You
interesting.
borrowed his belief. And of course, visualization is powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we ever talked about the belief borrowing.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't. No, I don't think we did. But yeah, that's how Bob helped so many people. He convinced them to borrow my belief. I know you can do it.
Mm.
If you can see it in your head, and he kept saying, if you can see it in your head, you can have it in your hands. And yeah, he always said, borrow my belief if you don't believe in it. Okay, perfect. Husband manifestation.
Yes, yes.
Let's get into that. So you wrote a letter.
I did, and I was very specific, like as far as like what I wanted, what I didn't want, and then like what our life would look like together.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the big specifics for me was that I wanted it to be somebody that I was friends with first, because trust is like the number one foundation in a relationship, in a partner. And it just is built in a different way when there's a friendship before anything else. So I met him at work, and we were friends for almost 2 years before anything happened. But I had wrote that in the letter, and it was about a year later after writing that I met him. And then after that year, another year before we ended up together. And then it just moved really fast. It was like within 3 months, we like moved in and, got engaged and got married. And
Did you ever decide before your husband? You never wrote a letter. That was the first time you did that, and
that was the
and
first
you
time.
decided to start as a friend.
Yes, yes, because I had been trying to which one of the things I work with a lot of my clients is on attachment wounds and relationship patterns and trying to break those. And I knew what the problem was. I just couldn't figure out the solution to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I think this is a solution. I just need to be friends with someone first.
Beautiful.
Just like you see in some of the rom-coms, right?
Yeah.
Like I was like, I want that. I want it to be just like that. And I want to meet him at work. And then and I wasn't even really thinking about it when it happened. I had kind of forgotten about the
Oh, that's
letter.
what I wanted to
Yeah.
ask. Like when you
Yeah.
met him and you were friends, were you thinking he is the one, and let's just keep the friendship for now? Or
No. But I
okay.
felt this feeling I had never felt, like this safety that I never
Mm-hmm.
even knew existed.
Even in
Like
and you had
like
other
if
male friends.
yeah, I always had male friends, and especially when I moved to Austin,
Mm-hmm.
I had a bunch of male friends, but I had never felt like I'm like, "Oh my gosh, your nervous system is supposed to feel like this? Like, you're supposed to feel this safe and in this scene." I felt so seen and so adored and so loved, and I was like, "What? What is this?"
Mm.
You know? Um, and I think it's one of my favorite things to talk about because I want everybody to have this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
I want to
especially
have this.
Yes, I want you to have it. I want you to have it. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Okay, so my question to you is that if you start as friends, would the attraction, like the physical attraction, be there after when you
It
become more than friends?
it was there,
Mm-hmm.
but not acknowledged.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it could be different for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not there and then it is there.
But you know how
But
maybe it's there, but you're just not acknowledging
yeah,
it.
you don't acknowledge. He didn't acknowledge it. He didn't know. Because I'm like, when did you know you loved me? I don't know. He has no idea. He's like, I just all of a sudden we were at a music festival. It's like one of our
Yeah.
favorite things. Our
Uh-huh.
favorite things we do together is to go to music
Yeah, of
festivals, and it was
course.
like our first thing our first big thing we did together. And that's when he told me,
Mhm.
but he still to this day doesn't really have awareness when he figured that out.
Men are funny.
They're
No disrespect to
hilarious.
men, but
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like women obviously have a stronger intuition.
Yeah. I had felt it, a lot earlier. And I said something to him about it, and he was like, no, that's just like our spiritual connection. And I'm like, yeah, that's what love
No,
is.
buddy, there's
And I
more
was
than a spiritual
Yeah, I was like,
connection here.
that's what love is. And I was like, okay. But
Yeah.
and he does say like one of the things he loves is that when he said that to me, I was just like, okay with it. We
Mhm.
still stayed friends.
Mhm, mhm. You didn't get
I didn't take it personal or think anything of it. I was just like, okay, I was like a little heartbroken um, and my friend that had met him pretty much right in the first couple months was like, y'all are getting married. Like, it's
Wow.
like, as soon as he met him, as soon as, like, we interacted maybe for, like, 5 minutes, and he's like, "Y'all are getting married," and this was, like,
Wow, that's so cool.
5 like, what, 4 years, I think, before we actually got
Married.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because it
That
was
was a
right
strong
when me
intuition.
and him had first met.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
And
it's
meanwhile, your man doesn't have any idea. Um,
no. It was, like, one of those awkward moments
right, right.
where I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Uh-huh. Yeah, because you weren't even thinking about that either.
Yeah, no. No.
Yeah, and I think because you mentioned that while ago, I've always been thinking about that's so interesting. I never thought about relationships this way. I always thought it has to start with like this strong chemistry or powerful physical attraction. But when you told me how important it is it was for you. I'm not saying it is for everyone, but now it makes so much sense to me.
Mhm.
It makes sense to start a long lasting relationship as friends.
Mhm. Absolutely, yeah. Because both, men and women, both parties need to feel safe.
Yeah. And when you started based on that friendship, it feels like you've got the strong foundation.
Mhm.
Now you can add on top of that the excitement, the chemistry, and fun things and everything else. But if you start from the fun things, you don't have the
Mhm.
friendship, caring, trust foundation.
Yes, yeah.
And
So
by the way, her husband is just perfect. Like the way he takes care of her. He
Yeah.
prepared you food the other day. He cooks. He takes care of the plants in the
Yes.
house.
My plant
And
man.
he's so caring. He's such a great host. I stayed with you for a few nights. Such a great friend. His friends love him.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Yeah, everyone he's my little guru, my little
Mhm.
shaman guru.
And he's a therapist too. He's
Yeah,
successful.
yeah.
Full package.
Mhm.
Great family,
Yeah, all of it.
right?
Everything I wrote in that letter to the universe.
Okay, so step by step process for people who want to manifest their partner. First of all, like anything else that we manifest, we need to know what do we want. And that's again one of Bob's teachings. What do you really want?
Mhm.
And sometimes people tell me, I always meet people that say, I don't know what I want.
Yeah.
So we're not just talking about relationship, like anything that you want to manifest, you need to be clear. The universe always responds. If you're vague, if you are wishy-washy, the universe doesn't know what to give you. You have to
Mhm.
be specific and clear about what do you really want. Now, if you don't know what you want, you can do something you briefly mentioned. Write down what is it that you do not want.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
makes it more clear to understand, okay, I do not want these things. What is the opposite of that? That's a great practice too. Because I feel sometimes we are so brainwashed with so many different things and society and media that we don't even know what we want.
Mhm.
Sometimes we think we want something, but maybe it is the Instagram influencing me thinking that's what I
Right,
want.
yeah. Or sometimes, yeah, you think you want something and then you get that and you're like, "No."
That was not
I
the thing. Yeah.
no, I don't want this. That's not what I
Right.
wanted.
Right.
Try again.
Yeah. So what would you say you put on the list? Everything and anything that is important to you. Character, personality, whatever is important. Maybe for someone the look is important.
Right, yeah,
Or
it's different for everyone, but I
okay.
think it still, like, does, take some deeper digging to, feel aligned with yourself and your own, and having your own self-love as well,
Oh yeah.
that
Well,
yeah, that you can get into, like, what it is you actually want. What you want your days to be like. What do you want your relationship to be like,
mhm.
um because I think, like, a common fear that keeps people out of relationships, right, is, like, they don't wanna be controlled or told what to do, and it's like, your relationship can be whatever you want.
Yeah.
If you don't want that in your relationship, then you get to choose that. You get to talk to your partner about that. You get to
Yeah.
decide how you wanna live your life together. Do you want to be able to do your own thing sometimes, take separate vacations, have time
And
apart?
that's how you live your
Right,
life, right?
yeah, which
Yeah.
is, like, I remember saying that, like, very early on. I was like, "I love to travel. Do you mind if I, like, travel wherever, whenever?" And he was like,
Oh, that's
"Yeah,
so
what," and I
good.
was like, "Okay." But
Yeah.
he was also like, "Yeah, I'll move to Costa Rica with you," you
Mhm.
know? And that
He
which was, like, a big thing I had, that was, like, the top of my list, like, is open to traveling and living outside the country or
I think he's just happy and flexible if you are happy.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
a definition of perfect husband. Happy wife, happy
It really
life, right?
Yeah, I don't think I ever
He's
really knew
just,
what that meant.
you wanna move to Costa Rica? Let's move to Costa Rica. You wanna come back to Austin? Let's move back to Austin.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
he's chill, he's flexible, he loves you, he respects you. And yes, so on that list, we also wanna put down how do we want our life look like together? Are we
Mhm.
traveling? Are we staying in one country? Are we moving to different countries? What are the fun things we do? How's the
Mhm.
family dynamic? So I would suggest write down anything and everything that comes to your mind.
Absolutely, yeah, and a big thing that was important for both of us is that we didn't get sucked into the rat race and that we're working all the time and we have all these responsibilities and we're stressed out and, we both, um, neither one of us works more than 20 hours a week, and we do what we want. We have lots of fun on the weekends and, um we just try to keep our responsibilities as minimal as possible so we don't get stressed out,
Mhm.
um, which I think, like, that's another one of my big manifestations is to be able to live a life like that.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about business and workload. Before going there, I just want to mention something that you talked about. When you are manifesting your life partner and you're putting that list together, you're thinking about what do you want. You want to make sure first that your happiness and joy does not depend on manifesting this person. You have to find that self love and self
Mhm.
worth and having fun on your own, then thinking about manifesting. Because I think the mistake that people do, and that keeps them away from manifestation, is that they don't feel good enough about themselves. And so they are needy, they become needy of that relationship and they think I'll be happy when this
Yes,
happens.
yes, exactly.
I'll feel good when someone loves me.
Mhm.
You have to find it. And I don't know, we never talked about it, but I'm pretty sure you were feeling pretty amazing before your relationship started, right?
Yeah.
You were not like down or depressed or looking for a relationship when you met him.
No, I was in a I mean, of course, we all have our, like, sad times, but,
Right, right.
I mean, no, I was probably at the height of my, um I just graduated and was, getting my license as a LPC and was celebrating in Bali,
No, I didn't know that.
like, all when like, around the time when I first met him,
Uh-huh.
um
You were living your life. You were
Yeah,
not
I mean,
waiting for Prince Charming to save you from your boring life.
No,
You were
not at
having
all.
fun. You were living life. Of course, sometimes we feel down too. But yeah, that's the point. Don't wait for someone to rescue you, make you happy. Do your best to be happy when you are single.
Yeah, exactly.
And love yourself. Because also, even if you find an amazing relationship, no one knows what happens in the future. So what if your whole self-worth and self-love is dependent on someone else? And then, God forbid, something happens. Then what? Then you have to wait for the next one? Or so the self-worth, self-love has to come from within.
Yes, yeah. Which I think it's such a huge piece and a huge piece of the puzzle in manifesting is working on that self-love and which is, that I was doing that work for years, and the mastery of self-love is it's a lifelong process.
It is. I was just thinking we need another podcast just to talk about self-love.
Yes,
because self-love, it to me is not necessarily just taking a bath, and it's good to do that, but it's deeper than that. It's much deeper than that. It's understanding who you truly are and loving all your flaws. Because no one is perfect.
Yeah.
That's the key. How do we get there? Next podcast. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, that'll be another one.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about work, manifesting, clients. Do you want to talk about TIR or your experience about?
Yeah.
So TIR is, just for the people who are watching this is the first video you're watching. I am a licensed coach by Bob Proctor. And I teach his program, which is called Thinking into Results. So that's what we call it, TIR. And Taralynn took the program, was my client. You finished a few months ago. It's a 6 months program. So, and for those of you who don't know Bob Proctor was one of the teachers in the movie The Secret. Over 20 years ago, he talked about manifestation, law of attraction, and the power of the mind, and how you can create anything using the power of the mind and the laws of the universe. And these are the programs that I teach. And I'm so grateful that, as my friend, you're also a client of mine, and you had that experience working on this program for 6 months. So tell me how your experience was, and where you were, how the program helped you. Anything you want to share?
Yeah. So, when, and of course, when I met Helia, she was a coach, and I loved that about her, and, and I'd always thought about it, but I was great at manifesting. So I think at first I thought I didn't need it, but I did get to a point in my business and being a therapist where I start to feel, where I started feeling like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. Like, this is hard. And, I'm about 5 years in. We're in Costa Rica. I'm experiencing chronic massive migraines. I had to cut my practice down. I was ready to close it and figure something else out, even though it was also like the last thing I wanted to do. And then, I'm talking to her about it, and, she's encouraging me to take the program, and I'm like, okay, like, there has to be something different. I don't want to give up all the schooling and the hard work for my license and building my practice and all that. So I decided to do the program, and it was just absolutely transformative, like, not just with my business, but with my health, which a lot of it was all connected.
It is.
Plus I'm such an empath. So I was working with complex PTSD and just a lot of really hard cases that were making me sick. And I needed to figure out something. And with the help of the program, like, I learned to figure out some of my blocking beliefs and how to change them and how to figure out what I really wanted in my practice, like what was going to allow me to have more balance and feel healthy and feel good. And I think I remember I was like halfway through the program
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, I don't know. I think I'm just going to go back to being a nanny, which is,
And by the way,
yeah.
I don't remember if I told you or not. I usually do tell clients halfway through the program, that's what Bob said it is. So the whole program is trying to shift your paradigm, the way
Yeah.
you think, the way you see the world, the way you see yourself. And there's just practices you have to do to unblock your limiting beliefs and create a new paradigm. And the paradigm is so strong. And we don't necessarily recognize the paradigm because it's
Mm-hmm.
part of you. It sounds like you. But all those limiting conversation inside of you, that's what the paradigm is. Halfway through the program, it is usually the strongest
Mm-hmm.
because it sees the change is coming.
Yes. Yeah. I felt that.
Yeah, keep going. Sorry, I
Yeah.
just wanted to put that in.
Yeah. And I really felt that. Um, and I went through, I mean, those those subconscious beliefs that I was, doing the writing exercises with, and they came up and I felt them. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Yep. There's some stuff here. We got to work through it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was,
A lot of resistance.
yeah, tons of resistance. And then just like magic, not really. I want to say it was magical, but I still put a lot of work. We worked together pretty hard on it, and then everything just changed. I started, I figured out what I was more aligned with, like who I wanted to work with, and how differently I wanted to run my business and my practice, and that I didn't need to be sick anymore. My migraines are gone after like a horrendous year of them, which, I had dealt with them on and off since I was like 22 or so, but I had never had a bout like this. That was just like, definitely not fun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I remember those
yeah.
days.
So and it was all connected. It was part of, I was like, okay, like I don't, I need to listen to my body. And
Yeah,
my body was telling me, like, this is not working. This is not working for you anymore.
exactly.
So now my business is in the direction that I want it to be. And it's just getting better every day. And
It's just the beginning.
it's just, it's just the beginning. And I love it. And I've recently added sound healing and like some more energy work to it. So, which was one of the things, like I wanted it less clinical and more holistic. And
Mm-hmm. And I think people love it too
yeah,
because your approach is so different. You add manifestation to your practice now, sound bowls and different ways. People love that,
yes, yeah.
right?
And and it doesn't feel, always like I'm
Work.
like work, which it's always like I've always loved being a therapist, but yeah, it's still
It's
it's a heavy job.
it is a heavy job, definitely. But you have made it fun,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
At least you
Yes.
added more fun than before. And you really put in the work when you were thinking into results. You were really doing the work. You were really thinking, reflecting about who do you want to work, and you're writing things down, letting go of limiting beliefs, letting go of, it's sometimes hard when we all have responsibilities and you were at some point, okay, these are the clients that I want to work with. And these are the clients are not necessarily in alignment and I have to let that go. And that affects your finances and
Mm-hmm.
creates fear.
Oh, that was terrifying.
Terror barrier.
Terrifying.
Terror barrier.
Oh
That
yeah,
one
the
of the
terror
lessons that we
berry.
teach and in the program is terror barrier. And I remember you went through that lesson and you were like, "Oh my God, this is what I needed." And but again, you put in the work. How was that feeling when you were saying no to money and clients, waiting for something that you were not
Mhm.
even sure if it is coming or not?
Yeah. That was absolutely, because also I'm doing it this at the same time as moving back to Austin. And
Which is more expensive.
yeah, so having to trust in this whole process of, it's a much more relaxed life in Costa Rica, and I'm moving back to a very fast-paced life and changing everything all at one time and letting go of my stability and saying no, having to say no over and over and over again.
Mhm.
Um, and just, yeah, feeling sometimes just absolutely terrified. But also the, like the lesson, I feel like that lesson talking about the terror barrier was like, oh my gosh, like, oh, this makes so much sense.
You realize it is just part of the process.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything wrong. I am just moving through this barrier to get to my goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes.
what that lesson helps. It just brings you more awareness that,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay. Because we want to have that certainty that, am I doing the right thing? Am I saying no to all these clients? That's where the fear becomes stronger, I guess. And then you study the lesson and it teaches you, okay, this is the part of the process. If you are here feeling stuck and you want to be unstuck and have amazing business, you literally, there's no other option than going through that fear.
Absolutely. And it's always that saying, when one door closes, another opens.
Mm-hmm.
But it was experiencing, like, I've always read that or turned to that saying throughout my life, but I don't think I ever really knew what that really meant or what that felt like, because that was a whole new experience um, of changing something that had been, I ran my business like this for 5 years, but also I wasn't completely in alignment, nor did I feel like I made these choices, because it's just when you first start out as a therapist, you don't really necessarily know what your niche is and what kind of work you want to do.
Yeah.
You figure it out as you go. So, and I'm sure it's not just, it's a lot of therapists. It happens too. They're not working necessarily with who they're aligned with. And that's where the burnout comes, because I was burnt out. Like, I wasn't going to be able to keep going. I thought I was just going to have to take a year off at least, or who knows. Um, but I just watched that lesson. I just watched that video like over and over and over again and did the exercises, and I was like, okay, if Sandy Gallagher is saying this is what happened to her, then I know, I'm trusting this, and you're talking to me about it and telling me and coaching me through it, and that's what helped
Mm-hmm.
like get through that. But I could have never done that on my own.
No, we never,
Yeah.
we cannot do that on our own. We can't, I think we can change a little bit, but it's the accountability. It is the daily practices, and that your
Mhm.
coach holds you accountable. And there's someone else looking at what you do, because we're so familiar with ourselves. We don't see our own blind spots. So a
Mhm.
coach, when you speak, your mentor understand, okay, that word was a limiting belief, and this is how you do it. This is how you shift it. Um, I'm a coach. I have a coach. My coach has a coach.
Mhm.
Bob Proctor had many different mentors. All successful people have a coach.
Yeah, it's absolutely
It
necessary.
is the application. A coach helps you to, and there are people who take programs like this on their own. Nothing changes. Nothing.
Yeah, and I remember I was like, because you said you can do the the self study, and I considered it. I remember considering it, but
Hmm.
I'm like, well, how's this really going to be any different than I've been studying this stuff
Yeah.
for years and years, and um, but like I could feel that something bigger was needed for like
Hmm.
the change that I wanted.
I'm glad you did that. And it's like people that we know, and They know manifestation. They read books. They listen to Abraham Hicks or Joe Dispenza or even Bob Proctor on YouTube. They read their books. But when you look at their results, it doesn't change. Their results is the same year after year. That's the power of coaching. That's the power of mentorship.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody needs somebody.
Everybody needs somebody. What is it that, do you have anything you want to manifest next? Or you pretty much have everything that you ever wanted?
No, I'm still, there's still a lot that I feel pretty, like, very content and very happy. And I love my Texas summers because there's just so much fun happening. And, you coming to visit was amazing. But I would say, some other big things that Sean and I want are, we want a cat sanctuary. I want to save all the cats. And I think, kind of like a retreat like property where just like a place of fun and a place of healing. And yeah.
Make it your C-type goal.
Yes. Yeah.
C-type goal is one of the things we teach in the Thinking into Results program. Yeah, we always have something, a goal, and it's not that we're greedy or we want more. It's the purpose of being a human being. If you don't have a goal, there's no growth in that. And then what is the purpose of life if there's no growth?
Absolutely. Oh, and the private chef.
And the private chef.
Yes, I
Yeah,
do really want that.
one of those properties we were seeing today, that in that neighborhood.
Yes, I do. I love that neighborhood.
Yeah. There's
one of
a
those
lot
properties
we want to manifest.
Yeah, there's still a lot. I don't think it never stops, and
it shouldn't.
And it shouldn't, because that's the fun in life, is to, go after your dreams and your goals, but to also be having fun, while you're doing it. It's not like I'm happy when. It's like I'm happy now, and I can have fun creating these other things.
Great point. Yes. I'm really happy with the way I've manifested my work as well. For a while, it was my dream to have an online business so I can travel. And I came to Costa Rica 2 years ago, stayed almost 3 months, 2 months and a half, a year prior to that also. And the point is, just make it clear what you want, know what you want, and know that you can always manifest it. The only thing that if I have a goal that is not here yet, or if you have a goal that is not here yet, it is because there are some sort of limiting beliefs or contradicting beliefs. Contradicting beliefs are also very important. So, for example, for relationships, some people love to have soulmate relationship. But there is also another belief, maybe deep down, that I don't know if I'm going to have my independency or my freedom if I'm in a relationship with someone living together all the time. And some of those contradicting beliefs we're not even aware of. So maybe we have to dig deeper.
Yeah.
But there is no force outside of us that is stopping us from manifesting. It is all here.
Yes. Yeah.
It's either a limiting belief, it's either a contradicting beliefs, it's either we don't know what exactly we want this and also this, and the universe is confused. It's like, which one do I give you? Make up your mind, literally. When we make up our mind, we become clear and we get help, because I am a firm believer you cannot do this on your own. We get a mentor, a coach. There's literally sky is the limit. I feel like we're playing too small. All of us. We are settling for life. It doesn't mean be unhappy and miserable. Exactly as you said, be happy with what you've got, but dream for more. Because I always think, what if I die and I meet God and he shows me on this big screen, this is the life you could have. these were all the potential and possibilities. And like they're there, and you played this small. You could have it all. I wanted to give you all. You didn't trust, you didn't believe, you didn't work on your mindset. And that is, for me, a really big motivation when I think about it this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you think about it, what is God? I call it God, universe. It is your higher self, right? It is,
Mm-hmm.
if we understand that we are not this physical body, we are a soul, and we're part of that God, we have all the attributes of the God. It's like, to me, it's like a drop of an ocean.
Mm-hmm.
You took a drop, but it is part of that ocean. And so that higher self wants everything for you because you're part of it. Why wouldn't it want everything for you?
Right. Yeah.
It's just this that is stopping you, but this can also work in your favor if you understand how to reprogram it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those blocks that all over the world, doesn't matter which country you live in,
Mm-hmm.
right now especially, I feel like more than ever before, are those limiting beliefs about money. People have a lot of limiting beliefs about money. What do you think about that?
Oh, yes. I feel like over the past I guess I would say year, I've really been like observing it, and almost would like love to do a study on it because it's just so interesting to see, because all of us have grown up with scarcity type of beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
No matter if you've come from a wealthy family or a poor family, everyone has these beliefs. There's no one that doesn't have them.
Why do you think is that? I have a theory, but why do you think is that?
I think it's like the programming that we've been taught as, just a way to control people and take away people's freedom, because
Mm-hmm.
we have so much more freedom we than we know. And
Yeah, and when people are concerned about paying their bills or their mortgage, they don't think bigger. So they don't
yeah.
cause
Yeah.
issues that much. They just sit there,
Mhm.
be worried about their mortgage and the bills. But I've also heard that a lot of these limiting beliefs and lack and limitation come from world wars, to the two that we had, because that was the whole global thing, and created a lot of money
Mhm.
lack, scarcity, and people, obviously they didn't have the information of subconscious reprogramming, so they just program their
Mhm.
children the same way: save money, rainy day. Because imagine they were in a really hard situation for years and years. World
Mhm.
War II, right?
Yeah.
There's no food, there's no money, and those programmings just got transferred to next generation and next generation.
Mhm.
Now we're consciously trying to remove those beliefs.
Absolutely. And which is why we need to talk about it more and educate people more so that
Mm-hmm.
they know that you don't have to think about that, or to notice when you have those beliefs, when you're worried about buying that bottled water that's 20 cents less,
Yeah.
or saving $50 on a flight where you could have a direct flight as opposed to taking two flights. Like, but that's also your time. There's so many ways to look at, and of course I'm always working on them. 1 minute, I'll book the trip to Japan, but I don't want to spend the extra, $20 on parking or something, just all those like little silly things. If you start
Yeah,
to
yeah.
observe all your money beliefs and like write them down, it's really, and it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. Um, Mostly when you see people say contradicting things in like the same sentence.
Oh, yeah.
Often. So much. I see it all the time.
Right?
Yeah. So, I always like, it's one of the things I will encourage my clients that I work on with financial things is, for the next couple weeks, observe people's money beliefs and observe your own money beliefs and see what that's like. Just see what you see, because that's how you become more aware of that programming and understanding that you don't have to think like that.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of Bob when he says his mentor, Earl Nightingale, said if people knew what they were really actually saying or what is, they would be speechless, because what we're saying so many times doesn't even make sense. It's just what we've heard from our parents or what we've learned from society. So many people.
Yeah.
The money thing. I know people who try to save $20 on 20 cents on a bottle of water, but then they spend so much money on other unnecessary things, and you kind of justify, you know?
Yeah, and it's like, spend your money on the things that make you happy and bring you joy and make your life easier. If you're in a, for instance, like if you're a family raising, a couple kids on your own, and you can spend that extra money just to even have a nanny come in one or 2 days to make your life less and to make your relationship easier, do that. Because anything that's going to bring more ease to your life, spend the money on it. Because your mental health and your relationship and your time with your family and your kids and your partners, because that's a big one I encourage when I'm working on, those things with some of my clients, is like, what can you do to make your life easier? How can you move towards ease? Because at the end of the day, like, how much difference does a couple $100s make?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So many of those expenses we're worried about, at the end of the day, it doesn't make any difference in our whole life.
No, absolutely not.
But it can make a difference on your energy, on your mood, on your vibration, which is the whole thing. As we know, we manifest based on our vibration. So I asked you at the beginning of the podcast, what do you think about manifestation? And that's the thing. It's all about energy. It's all about who you're being. And how do you change that based on how much you make your life easy? How can you get into the vibration of ease and abundance? The flight ticket was a great example. There's so many little things. Or like traveling. Right now I'm traveling. I'm staying in a nice hotel. I could have stayed in a cheaper hotel. But environment affects your mood, affects your energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then as you shift your energy up, then you're going to be on the wavelength of abundance. You're going to come up with ideas to bring in money.
Yeah.
Those ideas don't come if you're not having fun, if you are struggling in life. So let's talk about this actually, because I want it to be really helpful for people. I don't know how much time we have, by the way. I have a few more minutes. If someone is watching this and they are struggling in terms of either their finances or their, let's say, relationship, where would you start based on what you've learned from thinking into results or your past experiences when someone is in that struggling phase? What would they do? How would they navigate?
I think first the most important thing is to acknowledge that, is to have full compassion for that struggle in that moment. Like, okay, this is hard and something needs to change, right? And that's where it starts. It starts with that acknowledgement that this isn't working anymore. And because it's not about necessarily ignoring your reality, right? It's acknowledging your reality and acknowledging the fact that you can change your reality. You have complete control over changing that.
That's very important.
Yeah.
Just knowing that.
Yeah.
Because so many people don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Just knowing that you have all the power to change your reality. Yes.
Yeah. And I think acknowledging that, like, okay, it's not gonna be easy. Manifesting isn't a magical woo practice.
Mm-hmm.
It is science-based, and it is the power of the mind, and it's bringing more awareness, and it's being more present, and it's meditation, and it's spiritual connection. It's so many different things. So it's like when you're in that place of struggle, it's acknowledging first the struggle and then identifying, okay, what do I need and what do I want?
Mm-hmm.
And then going from there.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Also knowing that you're not a victim. Things are not happening to you. Things are happening for you.
Mm-hmm.
I've been going through a really hard period of my life in the last couple of years, and I know deep down that this situation, whatever happened, is not happening to me. It's happening for me to grow
Mm-hmm.
in this process, to become more, to be more in control of my thoughts. Because when you're going through a hard time, it's so easy to let the mind control you
Absolutely.
and feel like you're a victim and everything is happening to you. But then what if this challenge is for you to learn how to control your mind,
Mm-hmm.
which is the most powerful thing? Then for the rest of your life, you have strengthened this mental muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally believe everything that happens, there's a reason for it. There is no coincidence, and you're not a victim. And I always say there are two things that happen in life. There's either a blessing, like right now we're experiencing a blessing. Life is amazing. We're having so much fun together. The hardships are just lessons.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either a blessing or a lesson. And when the lesson comes, actually appreciate it, because it's exactly as if going to the gym. It's hard, you're sweating, you're in pain, but that's how you build muscles.
Mm-hmm.
So these both period of time are really necessary. And for anyone who's watching it, if you're going through a hard time, as Taralynn said, acknowledging that, okay, it's hard. Yes, of course, we don't want to be delusional. We know it is happening, but also not acting and being a victim, and understanding that this too shall pass. Like everything else, nothing lasts forever. When you were in Costa Rica, you felt like that. That felt like forever. It was when you were having a hard time, but nothing lasts forever. But I would say just the last message: pay attention to your thought patterns.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Pay attention to your thought patterns. Are they more on a negative pole? Are they more on a lack pole? Or are they more positive? And that doesn't mean being happy all the time, because we know people who are happy, but they still have limiting thought patterns. So the thoughts that you think, observe your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to add before we say goodbye to our friends?
I guess what I would add is that if you're thinking of working with Helia, don't think any longer. Just do it. She's amazing. I love her so much.
Thank you.
She's just been this light in my life. And you know, I feel like you can look back in your life and there's all these points, these very small micro moments, you know, when I look back in my life that have changed my entire life, my journey, and she's one of them.
Oh, you're so sweet. I feel the same, 100%. I feel the same. Thanks to Facebook and
I know.
expats in Costa Rica.
Yes.
What are the chances? Like,
Right. And I'm not even always on there, too. I remember seeing, I was like, oh, she looks cool. Come dance with us.
Beautiful manifestation. I appreciate you so much. You're literally my best friend. And thank you so much for your time. I always enjoy conversation with you. And we should do this more. What if we travel and everywhere we go, we book a podcast studio and we do this from different cities?
We should.
Yes.
Okay, let's
Done.
do it.
Done
yes,
deal.
done. We'll do
Thank
it.
you guys. Watch like the video if you watched it and you liked it, and please share it with your friends and subscribe, and let me know what you want me to teach you more, talk about more, and let me know what you liked about this episode specifically. Have a great day. Bye now.
Bye.